Welcome to the Revenue Builders Podcast with John McMahon and John Kaplan. This podcast is brought to you by Force Management. Force's solutions help companies meet the revenue goals that drive funding and higher valuations. Today, a segment from our conversation with John Rowell, co-founder of Pinned Golf. John had an enterprise sales career before he went into entrepreneurship. In this snippet, the three of them talk preparation.
Could you walk me through a little bit of how you can begin to, you're still doing this today, so how you can begin to really be effective and get that confidence level by being prepared? What advice would you give on preparing in these new roles, if you will?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I was a big believer in just process equals speed, right? If you can build what you're going to do every day down to a defined process, you're going to be able to move faster. You're going to be more prepared. And even later on in my career, when I was enterprise sales or enterprise sales management, I don't care how long someone was doing it, we would take a half hour for pre-call prep. And I think it comes down to you kind of got to make some hypotheses around okay, who are we selling to? What research did we do on their account? What do we think their key pain points are, right? What are relevant customer stories of where we've done this before that's going to translate and really drive that message home with them? And I think maybe early in your career, you're this is a bunch of busy work. I'm the best inside rep in the company. I don't have to do this anymore. I saw 50-year-old guys, President's Club, and they would still take the time before a call to go read a 10K, read job postings, figure out what do I think they're trying to do as a business and how can our solution help them solve that? Just so important. And to your point, now that I'm running a business, it's the same thing. If we're talking to a company we want to partner with, I got to go do the deep dive and do that same prep doc I used to do, whether at EMC or Lacework of hey, we want to get our rangefinders and speakers in stores at Dick's. Well, what are their initiatives? They're trying to improve margin. They're trying to get a younger audience. When we get on the phone with that buyer, we got to have that stuff down. Because otherwise you'll figure it out during the call and you miss your chance to drive home how you and your company can help them. So, I mean, pre-call prep to me, it's the reps I used to manage are probably laughing listening to this because I was a psycho about that because I think it's everything.
I love that. I used to ask people, how are you planning to make this interaction warm? And people kind of look at me like I'm crazy, well, I don't know how to make it warm. It's a cold call by the very nature of it's a cold call. And what I like to try to do early on in people's careers is I say, don't make cold calls. And they go, well, what do you mean? We got goals. There are so many calls that we have to make. And they shouldn't be called cold calls. They should be called warm calls because you should figure out ways that you can make that call warm. What do you know about the individual? What do you know about that industry? What do you know about that company? What do you know about companies that are similar to them? What proof points, case studies, testimonials do you have at your fingertips? What value drivers do you know are appropriate for that persona? So I always used to ask people and get them prepped. What's wrong in the old days of getting with your buddies and saying, hey, I'm going to walk through, the purpose, process, payoff. This is the reason why I'm calling. I want to do this with you, Mr. and Mrs. Customer. And the reason why I'm calling, it's, I know this person or this person asked me to call or what have you. And then they're just kind of role playing it out, but they were massively prepared. You learn how to do that early in your career, you will be masterful at it later on in life. The need for that never goes away.
No doubt. The way I used to think about it was, if you're an enterprise sales rep, that is the highest point of your profession you could possibly be, right? It's the same thing as Patrick Mahomes is playing quarterback at the highest level of his profession. He's not showing up on Sunday unless he's dissected every ounce of film, knows the playbook cold, knows what he's going to do. You got to do that same level of prep. You're not lacing up the cleats. You're, logging into Zoom, but it's the same level of prep that goes into it beforehand.
Yeah, I like what you said though, John, that if you're not prepared, you'll figure it out after the call, but then it's too late, right? And the other thing that I've always said, and I'm repeating myself because I said it on other podcasts, if you're not really well prepared, then you're not in the customer conversation. You're having a conversation, but you're not really in it because you're still thinking too much and wondering what the customer means by that and what should I say next and what question should I ask versus being totally prepared and listening to everything that they say and using your intuition and what you heard from the customer in order to react.
Yeah. And I think a lot about it too, in the sense that as much as you're selling software or hardware or some form of solution, you're selling yourself and your ability to be a good person for them to work with. And on that first call, they're going to size up pretty quickly. Hey, is this person going to come prepared to my meetings? Are they going to take the actions they said they were going to do? So I think you have a good opportunity on that first call through the prep to show them like, hey, I'm a sales rep that's going to be great to work with. If I say I'm going to do something, I'll do it. And even if that just shows up by you knowing what you're talking about before you get on the call, it's going to change the whole sales cycle for you.
We've had guests on before. I can't remember. I think it was Selling DeVito, Johnny, but you always bring it up in several podcasts where when you're prepared and when you're in the conversation, you're present in the conversation, you are interested versus feeling forced to be interesting. And that just makes so much sense to me. Preparation allows you to be present and not trying to figure out how you can be interesting to another individual. The best way, the best connection you can make is to give that person space to be able to articulate what their challenges or problems are, and then be audible ready to talk about what you do for a living as it relates to what they just told you.
Well, it goes back to John's first point. You can be yourself.
Yeah.
When you're really well prepared, you're not really wondering what you should say or how to act or any of that stuff. You're just in the moment with the customer. And that's you. When you're in the moment, you'll know what to say. You'll know what questions to ask if you're prepared.
Johnny Rowell, sorry. JR. I'm going to call you JR.
Me for a second there.
I'm going to call you JR. Walk us through some other ones. Was a really, really good deep dive.
Or can you expand on process equals speed? I heard that and you never really expanded on that. I'd love to hear more about process equals or build speed, I think you said.
Yeah, right. So kind of going forward with my career, right? I eventually made the jump over to Lacework, right? Back when we were single digit millions of ARR. And I got there and everyone there was just an absolute hitter. Like I was surrounded by just some studs. And as I started to spend some time in the company, I realized it came top down. Like I was working for, I think, past guest, our CRO at the time, Andy Byron, and he broke down what you're going to do to prep for a week of PG down to a process, right? He broke down the discovery call to a process, right? If you're going to get to a second call demo, a trial, like the whole thing, it was, hey, here's what you're going to do going into it. Here's the defined exit criteria. And then we peel that back into the actions you're going to do to get there. So once it came time to show up and on a week and I'm going to run through my calendar and go out through all my meetings, I knew exactly what we were going to do every single day for every call and every period. And then we just started to move fast because there was no like, hey, what should we do next? What's this? We just had this playbook that we, were able to adapt and scale quite a bit. And really that's kind of the same thing once you get into the founder side and entrepreneurship is I've tried to take the same mindset of, hey, what's the big desired outcome my company's after? We're trying to sell more rangefinders. We're trying to launch a GPS golf tablet. Okay, well, what do we need to do this year? What do we need to do this quarter? Like, what do I need to do this week? And what are the KPIs we're going to measure along the way? So, I mean, that whole mindset of just dialing in a process and measuring your success along the way, I think that can be applied to anything, but definitely, obviously, sales and entrepreneurship specifically.
This is a great conversation that continues with the whole episode linked in the show notes. Be sure to also catch Pin Golf's portable golf GPS tablet. It hooks right to any cart. They're going to start shipping them out this week. You can find more on pingolf.com. Make it a great week.